After applying for spousal sponsorship, a lot of folks have this question: can I get work authorization? Can I do something to obtain a work permit on the basis of my spousal sponsorship application? IRCC has provisions under Canadian immigration to provide open work permit to spouses of permanent residents or Canadian citizens who have applied for spousal or common law partner sponsorship. There is a provision to apply for work permit, and we're going to talk about all of that in this video, so stay tuned until the end. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Dhruv. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm Effizient, we assist all prospective immigrants with their immigration to Canada. If you are an aspirant, if you are facing issues, if you need assistance, here is our contact information. Feel free to contact us and we would be happy to assist you. If you would like to talk to me personally, discuss your case, the link to book an appointment with me is in the description. Please go ahead and book and I'd be happy to chat with you. Now you have applied for spousal sponsorship or common law partner sponsorship, and now you are looking to apply for a work permit. How you can do that and what is the requirements, we're going to talk about, so stay tuned. But before we go there, let's quickly answer the comment of the week. This comment comes from Harsh Patel, and the question is that I have applied for postgraduate work permit and it is almost 3 months since the application. IRCC is still processing. My wife's SOWP is expiring by the end of December. What can I do? The ideal scenario is that your PGWP is approved. Once that is approved, you can apply for your spouse's SOWP, provided you meet or she meets the requirements. That is, you are working, you can provide your job letter, and you can provide your payslips as a proof of employment in Canada. In case the PGWP is not approved before December 31st, you can still go ahead and apply. In that case, what we recommend is that you provide proof that your PGWP application is submitted and is under review, and you give an explanation that as soon as a decision is made on the PGWP application, you will update the SOWP application with the new permit, so that IRCC knows that the sponsor, that is Harsh Patel in this case, has a work permit which is valid, and hence the spouse will meet the eligibility, provided all the other eligibility criteria is met. The exemption codes for this class, you can check C41 and C46 or C47 for spousal open work permit of foreign workers. So I hope this helps and I hope this answers your question. Now, coming back to the topic about applying for work permit after you've submitted a sponsorship application under the common law partner or spousal sponsorship class, be it in Canada or under the family class that is outside Canada. IRCC has provisioned the issuance of open work permit for such applicants for spouses of permanent residents or common law partners of permanent residents or Canadian citizens who have applied for sponsorship. The caveat is that to apply for this work permit, you have to be inside Canada on a valid temporary resident status. Now, what that means is if you had applied for sponsorship from outside Canada, that is, your spouse was outside Canada, they have to first travel to Canada on a visitor visa, for example, and then they can apply for a work permit from inside Canada. There is no way for them to apply for a work permit while being outside Canada. I hope this makes sense. Now let's go over this in detail. So here on the screen, you can see the policy, the public policy and the associated LMIA exemption code, which is A74, that allows for a spouse or a common law partner in Canada or family class applicant to apply in Canada for a work permit under the International Mobility Program. So guys, this basic page, this document from IRCC has everything that you need to know to apply for such work permit. Now, if we scroll down, we will go to the eligibility section first and understand what the eligibility is for this particular application. For you to be eligible for work permit, or for your spouse to be eligible for work permit if they have applied for sponsorship. The first is they must have submitted an application for open work permit. So this is essentially that they need to submit an application for getting an open work permit. Second is they must be physically in Canada and have a valid resident status, or have maintained their status under subsection 183, so they are under implied status, or they have applied for restoration. So if they are out of status, then they have to be in the restoration window after going out of status to be eligible to get this open work permit. If they are outside of restoration window, then unfortunately they won't be able to assess the benefits of this open work permit. Third point is they need to be included as a spouse in a PR application under the spousal sponsorship class. Um, and the application must have met the completeness check, which is the R10, Regulation 10, which essentially refers to the completeness check for application. Um, and then they have to be either the principal applicant or an accompanying dependent for them to be eligible for an open work permit. The fourth point is they need to be a subject of a sponsorship application submitted by a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. So if you have applied for spousal sponsorship, you meet the requirements for point number 3 and 4 already. And the last important information or the important eligibility is they need to be residing with the sponsor. So if your spouse is applying, they need to be living with you at the time they apply. They have to have the same residential address. If you fall under any of these categories, you won't be eligible, and those categories are that if your application for sponsorship has been refused, of course your work permit won't be approved. Applicants whose permanent residence application is being processed under the spousal public policy uh, on the basis that they do not have a valid temporary resident status. So if say that your spouse did not have a temporary resident status, but they are also outside of the restoration window, then they cannot apply for an open work permit. The third is foreign national who submit the work permit application as part of permanent resident application using the PR portal. Essentially, you cannot submit the application for open work permit together with your permanent residence application. That is not allowed. You have to first apply for spousal sponsorship, and then afterwards you have to apply for this open work permit. And of course, you are not eligible to apply at the port of entry under this particular category. You have to be in Canada, and then you have to submit an online application to obtain an open work permit. Now that we have talked about the eligibility requirements, let's talk about the documentary evidence for this application. So guys, the first thing that you need is proof of relationship. So this is either a marriage certificate. If you are common law partners, then you need the statutory declaration IMM 5409 that has been signed and notarized, or that has been signed in front of a commissioner for taking affidavits. Again, 5409 is very important. If you do not have this, or if you're looking for this, you can always contact us. We can assist you with preparing this declaration and stamping it for you. Here is a sample of IMM 5409. You can see that. Then comes a copy of acknowledgement of receipt of the PR application. Once you submit the application for permanent residence under the spousal class, after either a month or so, you will receive the acknowledgement of receipt that IRCC has received that application, and they will assign you a file number. Now guys, that acknowledgement of receipt is required for applying for this open work permit. If you do not have that acknowledgement of receipt, what can you do? Now IRCC has been very generous to create an exception in those cases. Oftentimes what happens is that the applicant submits their spousal sponsorship application say on the 4th, and by the 12th their work permit is expiring. Maybe they do not have enough time between the submission of the spousal sponsorship application and their work permit expiry to wait for an acknowledgement of receipt. In that case, IRCC has given some leeway, and that is to ensure that foreign nationals do not fall out of status waiting for their AOR. IRCC will allow the applicant to submit their open work permit without an AOR if they provide proof that their work or study permit or temporary resident status expires in 2 weeks or less than that. So in case your your temporary resident status, that is your work permit, study permit, could be your visitor stay that you got when you entered Canada, if it's expiring in less than 2 weeks of the application submission for open work permit, you have the leeway. You can ask for this exception that you do not have the time to wait for the AOR and you need to submit this application at the moment. And then they have submitted the permanent residence application under the spousal class. The third is you need to provide proof that the applicant who's applying for open work permit has valid temporary residence status in Canada. If you have a work permit, you need to provide the work permit. If you have a study permit, you have to provide that. If you came in as a visitor, you need to provide the stamp on your passport for visitor visa and the date of entry. Usually the stay that you're given is 6 months. So if you are within that 6-month window, then you have valid temporary resident status. The last eligibility or the documentary evidence is having the same residential address. So you need to provide proof that you and your spouse or common law partner have the same residential address. Driver's license, Ontario photo ID, or any photo ID, government issue photo ID, is a proof that you can provide in such a case. If you don't have that, bank statements can be used, utility bills can be used. So there is numerous different documents that can be used for providing or for proving same residential address for you and the applicant. And if you have dependent children in the spousal application and they are being a part of this particular application as well for open work permit, then you need to provide a copy of 0008 in which those dependents were listed. That means the online application that you submitted or that your spouse submitted for permanent residence, in their 0008 IMM 0008, they must mention their dependent children. They need to be showcased. So you need to take a copy of that IMM 0008. You can get it from the online forms and you submit it with this open work permit application. That's all for the process for applying for work permit after submitting a spousal or common law partner sponsorship application. So guys, the main takeaway is that if your work permit is expiring very soon, you don't have time to wait for AOR, it is okay. You can still submit the work permit application to keep your status, to maintain your status. As soon as you receive your AOR, kindly update your application, the work permit application, with that file number with that AOR. IRCC allows you, provided the work permit is expiring in the next 2 weeks and you still don't have AOR. Secondly, we've talked about all the different requirements, all the different important documents that need to go into this application. So make sure all of that is included when you apply for this work permit. With all that said, we've covered everything essential for applying for a work permit under A74 exemption code. I hope you found this video useful. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. Guys, subscribing to this channel really helps us continue to provide valuable content, to be able to serve you in the best possible way, and to be able to invest more and more in providing the valuable content that can help you gain advantage in terms of immigration, to be able to do your applications and to stay ahead in terms of all the laws. Thanks again guys for tuning in and showing your support. I'll see you in the next video.